Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really provocative idea, something that might just flip how you see the entire digital world on its head. It's called techno-feudalism. Okay, so to get our heads around this, let's start with a puzzle. Back on August 12th, 2020, something really weird happened. The UK announced its worst recession in history, a massive 20% drop in national income. Now, logically, you'd think the stock market would have absolutely tanked, right? But it didn't. It shot up over 2%. This wasn't just strange, it was a signal that the basic rules of the economy were breaking.
And look, that wasn't just a one-off fluke. It was a huge red flag, a symptom that something fundamental is changing in our economy. The old rulebook for capitalism, it feels like it's being thrown out. And something new, maybe something much older, is quietly creeping in to take its place.
So what is this new system? Well, it has a name. And to really get it, we need to talk about what some are calling a brand new feudal age.
The term they're using is techno-feudalism, and the core idea is pretty simple but powerful. Just like feudalism gave way to capitalism, capitalism itself is now being replaced by something else. In this new world, real power doesn't come from owning factories or machines anymore. Nope. It comes from owning the digital land itself, the platforms, the data, the algorithms. This is what we're calling cloud capital.
You know, there's actually a great story from history that makes this crystal clear. Picture this, 19th century, a guy named Thomas Peel, a capitalist, sails to Australia with a bunch of workers, tools, everything he needs to start a business. But the second they hit the shore, his workers just walked away. Why would they do that? Because all around them was free, open land. They didn't need him. Peel was left with all his money and tools, but no power.
And that story? It tells us something really fundamental about what capital is. It's not just about owning stuff. It's about the power to make other people have no choice but to play by your rules. The moment his workers had another choice, Peel's power just vanished.
Okay, so let's bring it back to today. The tech giants are cloud lords. They've basically solved Thomas Peel's problem. They've enclosed the digital world. They've built these massive walled gardens where we and other businesses are kind of locked in. There's no free digital land left to run off to.
All right, so for living in a new feudal system, who are the lords and who are the serfs? Let's break down this new social ladder.
You can think of this new structure in about 4 layers. Right at the tippy top, you've got the cloud lords, the owners of these digital kingdoms. Think Google, Amazon, Meta. Then, just below them, you've got the vassal capitalists. These are all the other businesses that have to operate on the cloud lord's turf. And then there's the cloud proletarians, like your gig workers, who are managed directly by an algorithm. And then, well, then there's the rest of us, the cloud serfs. That's you and me, scrolling, liking, posting, basically doing unpaid labor, creating all the data and content that fuels the whole system.
So it really makes you stop and think, right? In this new hierarchy, where do you fit in? As you run your business, work your gig, or just use your favorite app, what role are you actually playing?
So how exactly are these new lords making their money? I mean, it's not just about selling us stuff anymore, is it? Let's get into the engine that really drives this whole thing.
See, AI is playing a really interesting two-sided role here. On the one hand, yeah, it's an amazing tool for productivity. It makes things faster, cheaper, better. But, and this is the crucial part, its real power is as a desire machine. It's an engine built to manipulate what we want, what we fear, what makes us angry, and it does it at a scale we've never seen before.
There's a really smart way to think about this called the AI love cancer cycle. It comes from this clever play on words in Chinese where love, I, and cancer, A, sound almost the same. So AI is the engine, right? It's designed to generate love. That's user engagement, that stickiness, that feeling that you have to check your phone again. But the toxic byproduct of all that love is cancer, the complete burnout of our attention, our well-being, and maybe even society itself.
And this is the big switch, the fundamental change. The game isn't just about producing goods anymore. It's about harvesting behavior. The real goal is to predict our next move, to shape it, and then to cash in on it. That harvested behavior, that's the new currency. It's the cloud rent we are all paying every single day just to exist on their digital land.
Okay, I know this can sound a little abstract, but this is happening in the real world, right now at the highest levels of geopolitics. Which brings us to a perfect example, the TikTok rent war. So if you look at the whole TikTok debate through this techno-feudal lens, the story changes completely. Suddenly, it's not really about data security, is it? It's a turf war. It's a fight over who gets to collect the incredibly valuable cloud rent from the entire US population.
So think about what's at stake for everyone involved. For the US government, it's about sovereignty. Who gets to tax the attention of our citizens? For the big US tech companies, it's about protecting their turf from a huge foreign competitor. And for TikTok, it's about keeping their access to one of the most lucrative rent-paying markets on Earth. This isn't just business, it's a modern-day feudal conflict over land and taxes.
And this whole situation teaches us a new rule for this era. The moment your platform gets big enough to actually influence how another country's population behaves, you're not just a company anymore. You're a geopolitical player. You're seen as an invading cloud lord.
Okay, so if this is the new reality, what do we do? How do we even operate in a world like this? That's what we'll cover in our last section, how to navigate this new feudal world.
This is where most businesses live today, in this really tricky spot as a vassal capitalist. Sure, to your own customers, you might feel like a lord in your own small kingdom, but to the huge platforms, the real cloud lords, you're just a tenant. You're completely dependent on their rules, and you're paying them rent just for the privilege of existing.
So to survive, let alone thrive, leaders today basically need to be two things at once. First, you have to be a digital route planner. That's the strategist, the person who can see the whole global map of these digital kingdoms and understand the political risks. But at the same time, you also have to be a digital wilderness pioneer, the person on the ground who knows how to navigate the specific rules of each platform, avoiding the traps and finding the opportunities.
And that leaves us with the big question. Really, the central strategic challenge for all of us now. In this new digital kingdom, with all its lords and vassals, are you building your own castle, or are you just paying rent to live on someone else's land? That's something to really think about.